So thank you so much for starting with us, you guys. I appreciate you being here on the call. Today we are going to be talking about the SBA, the SBA's new Mentor Protege program. And at the end of today's call, what you are going to be able to do is learn how your business can win in this new program and what's in it for you. So definitely want you to stay until the very end. We've got something very special to offer those that stay on the call. We are going to be very mindful and respectful of your time, so I'm going to try to stick to just that 1 hour time frame. I'm probably going to be talking fast. Like I mentioned, Pamela is on the call with me, and she is going to be monitoring the questions in the chat box. So if you've got any of those, feel free to just type in your questions, type your comments in the chat. We will be opening it up right about halfway through to get all of your questions answered so that we've got plenty of time to address all of those. But we definitely have a special offer for you at the end, so you definitely want to stay. Now, I know the six-armed lady, no, she's not, what is that, Medusa or whatever? No, that's the heads. Anyway, if you're like me, you're probably listening to this webinar, typing an email. Since your line is muted, you may be taking a quick call right now. I'm going to ask that you put everything away, because just stay with me for the next 45 minutes or so, because the information we're going to share is going to be very important in your business, and if used properly, it can really help you change your business dramatically and take you where you're looking to go here in the government space. So put down the cell phones and shut down the Microsoft Office or the Gmail, and just focus on what we're going to do for the next 45 minutes, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Okay, so a little bit about me. Excuse me. My name is Myra Cisse. I was a banker for over 20 years prior to going into business for myself. And the last 6 years of my banking career, I worked as a business banker. In that role, that's kind of how I learned about the SBA programs. I worked on the other side making business loans and SBA loans to business owners, and during my career closed millions of dollars worth of SBA loans for my clients. And that's kind of how I became a student of the different SBA programs and initiatives out there. Not because it was something that was taught to me in banking, but because I'm kind of a nerd. So, you know, as I was learning about the loan products, I just got fascinated with all the other stuff that the SBA had to offer. And as a trusted advisor for my clients, I'd let them know about different certifications or programs that were available that could help them grow their business. Finished up my MBA from Georgia State University in 2010 and was just not very fulfilled anymore in my banking career. So I was looking for something to do differently. I was looking to start a business, had no idea what. And excuse me, literally the idea for my business just kind of hit me like a brick when a customer of mine who was a friend was talking about all the certifications he had on his desk and how he wished he could pay somebody to do that for him. And I was like, oh my God, that's a business? I didn't even know that. So I went full steam ahead, started my business in 2011, left my full-time job in 2012, and last year in April, reconnected with Abe and partnered with GCA in 2015. And I was so excited when I did, because I finally had the full service solution that my clients needed, and I can now offer my certification services to all of the members at the Government Contractors Association. So a little bit about us here at GCA. We are the Government Contractors Association. It was founded by Abraham Seong in 2010, just because he saw the disparity that existed in the marketplace and how 99.7% of all the businesses in the U.S. are small, yet we're winning a minute fraction of the contracts, less than 16%. And instead of saying someone should do something about that, Abraham stepped up and decided that that person would be him. So he founded the organization. It is a membership organization of current and prospective government contractors. So, if you're a large business on the line, like about 10% of you were, and you're looking to connect with small businesses for protege opportunities, for, joint ventures, teaming, etc., then we're a great organization that you want to talk to. And the other 90% of you that are small business owners, if you're not currently connected with us as members, you definitely want to get involved, because our mission is to educate, to facilitate, and to advocate for you, the small business owner. And you know, our vision is to just create access, and that's access for you as a small business trying to enter into the government space, create access for those large companies to find small qualified businesses with whom they can team and partner and meet their requirements with. And that's what we're all about. The great thing and the biggest success that I think that Abe is humble about sharing is that GCA has helped clients win up to $750 million in contracts. And the goal is to reach $1 billion by the end of 2017. So that's a huge goal, but that means we're going to be adding a ton of value to our members and those that decide to join us as members. So let's get started with the information. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. How would your business change if you had the right large company as a mentor? If they could offer strategic planning, if they could introduce you to those key relationships, to those contracting officers with whom they're doing business, if they could help you provide funding for your business, give you an equity injection or bonding assistance, or any number of challenges that you face every day as a small business owner, how would that change your business if you had that tool in your back pocket? And how quickly could your business grow in the government market if you could have the resources and the experience and the capacity of a large corporation? How would that fundamentally change your business and how you do things? So that's kind of what the Mentor Protege program is all about. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little bit about the history of the Mentor Protege program. This has been 6 years in the making, but nobody said that the government was quick. This all started September 27th of 2010 when the president signed the Small Business Jobs Act into law. So the Jobs Act was designed to increase the opportunities in the federal market space. And at that point, Congress recognized that mentor protege programs serve as an important business development role for the small business owners. So they authorized the SBA to form mentor protege programs for the service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, hub-zone businesses, and the woman-owned small business programs. So both the EDWOSB and the WOSB. So fast forward to 2013, January, the National Defense Authorization Act for the fiscal year 2013 was signed into law. And with that act, that authorized the SBA to establish the mentor protege programs for all the small business concerns. Now, what the SBA did, they took a couple of years, they did the comments, the same thing that happens anytime something new comes aboard. SBA wants to get buy-in from the constituents and the stakeholders that are involved. So by 2015, February, they published all that information and their comprehensive proposal for the new government-wide mentor protege program. And they did that instead of doing 4 individual programs, one for the service-disabled vets, one for hub zones, one for the women, and then one for all small businesses in general. What they decided to do was just, okay, let's make all this a collective effort and make it a whole government-wide mentor protege program. So now what was once available only to 8A firms or to those government agencies or departments that happen to have their own mentor protege programs in place is now available to all small businesses. So this is very exciting news, and if you're not jumping up and down about it, hopefully at the end of this call you will be. So just a month ago on July 25th, 2016, the final rule regarding the Small Business Mentor Protege Program was published in the Federal Register, and I have that little asterisk there because that's the handout that's in your, I believe there should be a section on your dashboard where you see handouts. So there's a PDF. That's a 37-page document. It is a dense read, but I told you I was kind of a nerd, so yeah, I hate to say it, I read it. But this gives you all of the details and all of the rules about what this new excuse me, Small Business Mentor Protege Program, how it works and what it means for you, which is another reason why I'm able to do this call for you. The effective date of the final rule is August 24th. It happens to be today. So we are definitely timing everything appropriately. So what is the program? What is this Mentor Protege program? Basically, it's just, like I said, a government-wide program that, long story short, allows a large business to offer assistance and help and aid to a small business under several specific categories. And we will be going into detail about that. Okay, with the implementation of this program, all of the Mentor Protege programs for the other federal departments or agencies that had them, and there were 13, except for the Department of Defense, are going to go away by August of 2017. So that means if an agency had a Mentor Protege program that they were running themselves, that program has to go away within a year of the implementation of this new program that the SBA has. There are certain situations, but the SBA will have to approve an agency or department, a federal department, handling their own program. And the reason is they just want it to be streamlined. They want all the criteria to be the same. And the other big reason is the SBA is the one that has the final say-so on that nasty affiliation. Those of you who are certified on the line have probably run into that before, but basically that means if the SBA determines that you're affiliated with another business, they could now say that you're no longer small if that other business happens to be large and they call you affiliated. But because SBA is the one that makes those rules within the context of a Mentor Protege program, you don't have to worry about that. You can be a protege of a Lockheed Martin, who's probably the biggest business in the world, and you will still be small according to the SBA size standards, because they will not count that Mentor Protege partnership as an affiliation. So that's very, very good information. The Mentor Protege program, it allows you as the protege, and I'm saying you collectively, only 90% of you are small businesses here, but allows the protege to joint venture with its SBA approved mentor on any of the federal contracts and qualify as a small business. So if you're partnering with a company that's a $100 million tech firm, that would not be considered small according to size standards. But if that $100 million tech firm is your mentor and you're its protege and y'all have a written mentor protege agreement on file, then you can go after a federal contract opportunity and still be considered a small business. So hopefully you're seeing how this is really, really exciting news for everybody. And I know I see some questions. Pamela, do I need to stop now? I think we're about 3 or 4 slides away from opening it up for questions.
Well, one question here is by John. He's asking, does that mean, does that include the FAA and NASA as well?
Yes, the only federal, the federal aviation, yeah, those, I can't remember if NASA falls under Department of Defense. If NASA is a sub-agency of the Department of Defense, then they would be excluded, since the Department of Defense is excluded. And I just don't want to misspeak. I don't know off the top of my head if NASA is a sub-agency to the Department of Defense. I think it may be. But yes, anything that's not under the umbrella of the Department of Defense of the DoD, those mentor protege programs will be going away. So if you happen to be in one of those, John, then you want to talk with your mentor about transitioning that particular program into this new mentor protege program. And we'll be talking about how you get started on all that in a bit. Okay. Any others I need to?
The last little piece, he says pseudo agencies not subject to the FAR. Not sure what he meant by that. Pseudo agencies not subject to the FAR.
That's the only thing you put on there. Now,
I guess it's a continuation of the question.
Okay, because if it's a sub-agency or any agency that's other than the DoD, now the Department of Defense is subject to DFARS, and of course all the other agencies have to adhere to the FAR, so I don't think I understand the question. So if he can clarify it somewhat, then I'd like to address that again once he does.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's talk about the benefits. This is where it gets really exciting. What types of assistance can a protege expect from a mentor? So they can get management and technical assistance, and then I've got real world examples of what that looks like. So that could be for your internal business infrastructure, accounting processes, accounting systems. Somebody just mentioned the FAR and the DFAR. I mean, so if any of you are on the call and know anything about DCAA compliance and you don't have the right accounting system to do that, that can be expensive to set up. So your mentor can help you implement a DCAA compliant accounting system. Technology transfers. If you're in the manufacturing world, manufacturing assistance. So maybe you don't have to buy that $500,000 machine to manufacture. You can use your mentor and their plant or facility to do the manufacturing for you. So that's a real world example of that. Financial assistance. This is really exciting, folks. So your mentor can offer you bonding support. Those of you in construction or any kind of industry that needs bonding know how important, and that's the lifeline of your business. Because if you can't bond the job, you can't win the job. Loans to your business, and most importantly, they can offer equity injections into your business. So the mentor that you are in an MPA with can invest and acquire up to 40% of your company if you choose to give away that much of your company, and that's another conversation. But so if they believe in you and they want to infuse your business with cash and you're willing to let go of some of the equity interest in your business, that mentor can own up to 40% of your company. And this is really, really big, back to that whole affiliation thing that we were talking about before, because as long as you're in that mentor-protege agreement, the SBA isn't going to look at this company that, may be super large and way too big to be small according to their standards, and they're not going to say that you're affiliated with them simply because that company owns 40% of yours. So that's a really big deal. Contracting assistance. So if you need to perform on a contract and you need past performance, they can help you with that, or they can help you with the actual capacity to perform on a contract, whether that's the way of people that are going to be on the ground performing that work, contract processes, the acquisitions, performance, all of those are things that the mentor can help you with. Trade education, if you're trying to expand your business overseas, for example, they can help you to find markets overseas, to offer education on export and international trade planning. They can do just strategic planning in your business. Business development assistance, so helping you prepare a BD strategy, identifying those key relationships and contract opportunities and helping you go after those in the way of maybe footing the bill for the proposal writing or the proposal preparation, because depending on the complexity of those, it can be expensive to get one of those together. And then also just general or administrative assistance. So whether it's human resource sharing, security clearance support, that's a big one. I mean, a lot of the 8A clients with whom I've worked in the past and other certified businesses, they've oftentimes partnered with the larger company to get a facilities clearance that they didn't have prior to working on a particular project. So that can really help segue your business to the next level where you don't have a security clearance today. You're working in tandem with a mentor to get a security clearance for a job you're working, and then that security clearance goes with you the next time. So those are all really good examples of the benefits of the program. Okay, I'm going to stop here real quick to see if we've got any questions I need to address.
Well, a lot of the questions that are coming up, I think you're going to answer them on the frequently asked questions that I'm looking at now. So you can continue.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, thanks. Okay, so eligibility requirements. This is where it gets good. Okay, so 10% of you on the call were large businesses. So as the mentor, I assume you're probably going to be a mentor. This is kind of, I'm going to go through what the requirements are for you. You must be a for-profit business. You can be any size, but you have to be for-profit. So that's important to note, because as a mentor of any size, you don't necessarily have to be large to be a mentor. So that means you can still be small according to SBA size standards, but act as a mentor for a protege. You must demonstrate that you can fulfill your obligations in the mentor-protege agreement. That's the biggest qualification that SBA is going to scrutinize the most. Just your ability to prove that you can fulfill your obligations to the protege that you're trying to bring on. And at no one time can you have any more than 3 proteges. And that's going to be between this program and also between the current 8A mentor-protege program. Ideally, they want every mentor to only have 1 protege, but they will allow you to have up to 3 as long as you can prove that you've got the financial capacity and that having more than 1 is not diminishing the benefit that any one of the proteges are receiving from you. So, but no more than 3 at any one point in time. That doesn't mean you can't have, 3 for this period, and as that mentor-protege agreement expires, get another 3. But at any one time, you can have no more than 3. Now, the protege must be a small business according to the SBA size standards. It has to be organized as a for-profit company, except for certain small agricultural cooperatives. There are specific exceptions for those types of organizations because they could be organized as not-for-profit. And you must be located in and operate primarily from the U.S. or make significant contributions to the U.S. economy if you are not located in the U.S. Okay? Back to the mentor. The mentor can, this is really cool, the mentor can be both a mentor to a smaller firm and a protege of a larger firm at the same time. So how cool is that? So let's say you are a technology company and you have grown to, I don't know, let's say $20 million. This just under the threshold for the SBA size standards to be considered small. So that means you're still a small firm, but you're helping, a really cool young tech startup that's only at 250,000. You're helping them get to the next level. So you are in an MPA with that smaller firm, yet you still have this tech giant, I don't want to say IBM, because like Google, as your mentor. So that's really cool that you can do both at the same time. So it's like a win-win and just, everyone helping everybody. Okay, so back to the protege. There are a lot of categories and qualifications for the protege. You must use your primary NAICS code as in your mentor-protege agreement, or you have to identify that you're seeking assistance in a secondary code, and then the SBA is going to scrutinize that. At no point in time can you try to get into the mentor-protege program as a protege using a secondary code under which you have no past performance. So let me repeat that, because we've got a couple of examples as members. So let's say your company is a construction company. So you do construction facilities type work, but you also want to get into security, armed and unarmed guards, but you've never done that before. You have the opportunity to partner with somebody where you can win a contract for security services. You would not be able to enter into a mentor-protege with that firm unless you have had some experience yourself doing armed and unarmed guard services. So you can enter into a mentor-protege agreement under a secondary NAICS code, but it has to be a code where you have done some work. Okay? And got to be registered in SAM, obviously. That's, just kind of a no-brainer. And then you can generally have no more than 2, well, I say generally, you can never have any more than 2 mentors at any one time. The second mentor is going to be evaluated and approved on a case-by-case basis because the SBA really is trying to keep you down to only having 1 mentor at a time, simply because, they don't want the program to be used for purposes not intended. Okay. So how do you, okay, go ahead.
And that you repeat that again. She said, say again about the NAICS code. You can have a second one and
Yes.
must the SBA approve. Okay.
Okay.
So that's
yes. So you got a primary NAICS code. When you filled out your SAM profile, you had to indicate one of those codes was primary. And if you've gone through an 8A certification or HubZone or any of those, then oftentimes the SBA wants to know under what code are you're earning the biggest percentage of your revenue, and that's what they consider your primary code. So let's say you are a tech, I can't give an example right now. Oh, one of my 8A, recently certified 8A firms, they do some diabetic medical equipment, and they also do just regular durable medical equipment sales. So under their primary code, they are a service provider offering services to insurance companies that have diabetic patients and that sort of thing. That's where the bulk of their revenue comes from. But they also have a storefront where they sell diabetic supplies. So in that scenario, they can get a mentor-protege agreement under their secondary code of the diabetic supplies because they have past performance there. But if they wanted to get a mentor-protege to help them do, I don't know, like non-emergency transportation services, which is not something that they do, but maybe something they want to get into, but they haven't done any work there yet, they wouldn't be able to do an MPA under that particular NAICS code because they have no past performance themselves doing that work. So what the SBA is trying to get you to do is make sure you go out there and you do some work in that secondary code prior to finding the mentor. I hope that clarifies it for her. Okay.
yes. Okay.
Okay. So how do you get started? If you get certified, if you haven't already, and I can't remember the statistics of how many on the call were certified. I think it was about, I can't even remember. That's shameful. I might be able to go to the poll and find it though. You can self-certify as a woman-owned small business or an economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. And I'm sorry for all the men on the call that we left you out. If you're a veteran, you can certify as a veteran-owned small business. Of course, you've got to go through the CVE to do that. If you're in a hub zone, you can get certified as a hub zone. All of those are through a certifying agency, so it's going to take a while. You can use an SBA-approved third-party certifier to do your woman-owned small business, like WeBank, NWBOC, the U.S. Women's Chamber of Commerce, or the El Paso Chamber. And if you need help or you want to outsource it, then you can call GCA because that's part of what we do. And you also need to find a mentor. And spoiler alert, we're going to provide a solution to help you do that because I think, 70% of you said you needed help finding a mentor. So we understand this is a challenge. Okay, so let's go to some frequently asked questions. As soon as I finish up answering these, we're going to open it up for the general questions that may be coming in from the folks on the call. So when does the program officially begin? The official date that everything is effective is today, August 24th, 2016. But the application for the Mentor Protege program will not be available until the beginning of the first quarter, which is October 1st, 2016. So that's the first quarter of the fiscal year. So October 1, 2016 is when the online applications will be opened. Where do I find resources about the program? Well, what we've done is put together, of course, you've got the handout that's here. That is the handout to the final rule that is in your, I believe, Pamela, you said you have a handouts tab, right?
It's in the handouts tab. Yep.
So in the handouts tab, you will have a handout that you can download. It's a PDF of the Federal Register Volume 81, number 142, that it has the final rule for this particular program. That's going to give you everything you want to know, but if you're not a nerd like me, it's going to be hard to get through. We have created a much easier to navigate website where you can go to get information, and that's going to be at, I want to make sure I give you the right site. That's at govassociation.org/mentor-protege. No dashes. And
would you like me to put that in the drop down in the chat?
Can. Thank you, Pamela. This is why I love her. govassociation.org/mentor-protege. And there are no dashes or spaces between mentor and protege.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Now, sorry, I messed up all my notes. Okay. So that's where you can find, and we put the final rule is there. A couple of other helpful PDFs are there. Something about getting registered in SAM if you haven't done that yet. What else? There are quite a few tools. An article I've written just summarizing the program, the quick links to the various online sites. Of course, you can also go to the SBA and just in their search box type in Mentor Protege, and you'll get more information than you can shake a stick at about it. Okay, so the next question is, do both the mentor and the protege have to complete applications? And the answer to that is yes. You, as the small business, have to complete an application, and the large business also has to fill out an application. And that segues nicely into the next question. Is the mentor-protege agreement, the MPA, required at the time of application? And that is also a yes. So that means you and the mentor have to have identified each other. And okay, perfect. I was just looking through the chat. I'm sorry, I got distracted. So you and the mentor will have had to communicate with each other to decide, yes, we want to do this. We want to jump into this partnership with one another, and then put together that mentor-protege agreement, and then each of you complete your respective applications for the SBA to review. Can the mentor have more than one protege? We talked about that. A mentor can have up to 3. The SBA is going to evaluate that to make sure that the mentor has the capacity to successfully manage more than one. Can a protege have more than one mentor? The answer to that is yes, you can have up to 2, but there are very distinct caveats on that. You can only have the second mentor can't in any way be providing the same type of assistance that you're getting from the first mentor, and it needs to be in a secondary code. So you can't have 2 mentors that are giving you the same type of assistance for the same type of work under your primary code. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you are you're a trucking company, you can't have a larger trucking company mentoring you and providing technical assistance, the management support services, and also the assistance with providing you human resources personnel, and then a second mentor doing the exact same thing. If you do have a second mentor, they're going to be in a totally different industry, providing you totally distinct benefits than the first mentor-protege program. Okay, how long does a mentor-protege agreement last? The caveats, according to the Federal Register final rule, is that it has to be at least 1 year, but it can last up to 3 years. So at least 1 year, up to 3 years. And this is interesting. Can an expiring 8A firm that's in a current mentor-protege program get into this mentor-protege program? And the answer to that is yes. So if you're coming out, the 8A is one of the certifications, federal certifications. It has its own mentor-protege program. That is the program that this was designed from. So there are a lot of similarities between the two. So if you're expiring out of that program because your 9 years are almost up, then what you and your mentor can talk through is moving you from the current MPA that's through 8A into the all small business MPA, and then you can just keep on business as usual. A few more frequently asked questions are, what information should be included in your mentor-protege agreement? And wow, I mean, there are a ton of things in that final rule. that talks specifically about that. So in your written agreement, you want to make sure that you have distinctly identified the goals that you want the mentor firm to help you achieve, whether it's financial assistance in the way of an equity injection of up to 30% of equity in the company, bonding support. Just literally they want tangible, specific things, because the SBA is monitoring this. They are going to be doing it annually, and they want to know that their criteria, distinct criteria, that they can hold each of you accountable to. What else? The written agreement is going to be reviewed by the SBA for approval. It must provide that the mentor or the protege can terminate within 30 days if they want to. Let me see. I have... Okay, identify the key benefits, a projected timeline. That's the other important thing. So they want to know milestones, when you're going to achieve what particular benefits that the mentor is going to be providing to the protege. So all that information needs to be in the written agreement. Is acceptance in the MPA program automatic? And that is the negative. It is not like the current self-certification for women-owned small business. This is a matter of an application that goes into a particular department for review. Anyway, you hear me laughing because the SBA has established a separate unit within the Office of Business Development, and their sole function is going to be processing mentor-protege applications. So, you know, when you read through the rule and hear what they expect as far as the numbers of participants they're going to get, I think it's laughable, being that we got 300 people registered for this call and they're expecting maybe 2,000 applications. I'm thinking it's going to be more like 20,000 or more. So I think they're going to be a little inundated. And what if you get a bad mentor? How can you get out? Well, if you get a bad mentor, then there are provisions where you can get out of that relationship. And the SBA has, you know, just very strict language that is going to potentially allow that mentor to, you know, they've got to show how they're going to straighten up and fly right, or they could potentially be disbarred. They could even have contracts that they're currently working on with you as their protege taken away from them. So, you know, there's some very strict rules about performance in the mentor-protege program, and they definitely want to make sure that it's not a situation where you are not getting any benefit and the mentor has basically been using you as a small business to qualify for a set-aside that they wouldn't otherwise get. And if that's the case, then you just present your case to the SBA and then they'll take it from there. But getting out is a matter of reporting up to the SBA what the mentor-protege agreement stated and stipulated as to the benefits you were receiving, and how at this point in time, however long into the program, you've gotten none of those benefits. So it is going to be a matter of having documentation about what you expect from the program and how you have been getting what's expected. Okay, so what other questions are there, Pam? I'm sure there are tons.
Yes, so we'll get started. Excuse me. Michael Pavley stated, I think it's just a statement, they were trying to clarify what John Long was saying. He said architect of the capital is not subject to the FAR. So it's just a statement. Donna Guster, member of DTA, she asked, when they say joint venture with a mentor, they don't mean legally start a company with them. They're just a mentor, right?
Well, no. Yes and no. The mentor is the mentor in a mentor-protege agreement. So that means the mentor is the one that's providing you whatever assistance that we talked about a couple of slides back. But one of the benefits of the mentor-protege agreement is that you and that mentor can start a third distinct company, go after a particular contract, and that third distinct company, even though it's owned by that big company and your small company, you are considered small for purposes of any federal contracts that joint venture works on together. So when we say joint venture, we mean joint venture in the traditional sense. that it's a separate entity that's owned by both your firm and the mentor firm.
Okay. And then Michael Plaziz, he asks, will DOD accept the SBA MP in lieu of their own MP program?
That's a great question, and I didn't see anything to that in the final rule. So, well, that's a really good question. I'll have to do some research and get back to you. I can't imagine. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. But yeah.
Okay. And then he also asked, can a mentor and a protege have multiple MP agreements with multiple firms, and if so, any limitations?
Yes, up to the limitation of a mentor can only have 3 proteges at any one time, as long as the SBA deems that it is financially able to support all 3 without there being a detrimental effect on any one of the 3. And then there is another part to that question. Can you repeat the whole thing for me?
Yes. Can a mentor and a protege have multiple MP agreements with multiple firms, and if so, any limitations?
Yeah. So for the mentor, the limitation is 3, and for the protege, the maximum would be 2. And again, back to the example, the 2 that the protege can have would have to be under 2 distinct NAICS codes, providing 2 distinct benefits that do not overlap.
Okay. And then Evelyn, she asked, does the mentor business have to be registered to do business with the government?
Yes. Everyone that's participating in this, both the mentor and the protege, have to be registered in SAM.
Okay. Felicia Nichols asked, does every company need bonding? Not
necessarily. It just depends on the type of work you do, Felicia. So if it hasn't come up, then you probably don't need it. That sounds stupid, but yes. But if
I think a lot of questions were coming in throughout the presentation, so they probably got that answer too. Okay, Sharon Hammond asked, will monies earned under the Mentor Protege program be counted against the 8A for sole source restrictions starting year 5? 15% non-8A, and year 6, which is 25% non-8A, and so forth.
Okay, so under the 8A rules, you just gave the percentages of what you have to earn that is considered non-8A sole source. So if the monies earned under the mentor protege agreement, let's say it was a federal contract that you guys won that was not an 8A set aside, then it would not count against the firm, because it's not an 8A sole source. Once you get into the transition period of the 8A program, they want you to start going after open competition. So any projects that you and your mentor work on together that are not 8A sole sources or 8A set-asides would then count towards the amount that you're getting open competition. I'm hoping that answers her question.
Okay.
And if you can, yeah, if that did not answer your question, if you can type another one so I can clarify for you.
Okay. And this is a statement from John Long. I think this is continuing from earlier when we first started the call. And I don't have the rest of the statement, but they are quasi-government. They don't follow the...
Oh, okay. So that's...
the FAR back on the... Okay, the pseudo, that was a pseudo comment.
Okay.
He said SBA is part of the Transportation Department, and all should mean all, but there is some confusion. He'll address offline. Was looking to get your perspective.
Okay, yeah. If you can, yeah, definitely address that with me offline, because there is a whole section in that final rule that talked about, the exceptions for the other federal agencies and their MPAs going away. So, yeah. So definitely chat with me offline.
Okay. Alice asked, will the presentation be available after the webinar?
Yes, it will be. And at that resource that Pamela typed in, that's the other thing that's going to be there. A copy of this, a PDF copy of this presentation is on that website.
Okay. John asked, he inquired of SBA, have not, he said he's inquired by the SBA and hasn't received a response yet.
He's inquired about what? About this MPA?
I'm assuming it's about the MP program.
Yeah. So you probably haven't received this response because, as I suspect, they are probably overwhelmed with this. But the other thing is that nothing can happen until the applications open up on October 1st. So the SBA is not accepting any applications early. They're not going to be accepting any manual applications. Everything will have to be done online. So one of the things that I'd like each of you to do, I imagine once you sign up, since you've already registered for this webinar, then we'll be able to keep in touch with you. We're going to, add you to our mailings that we're going to be doing about this Mentor Protege program so that we can keep you in the loop as we get information about what's going on. So that way, you know, when that, if there are any delays from the October 1st deadline, excuse me, of when the program is going to roll out. If there are any delays from that, we'll be able to communicate that with you. As the dates get closer, we'll be able to let you know exactly where you need to go online to fill out that information.
Okay. How much time do you have for, because I know we're almost out of time and we do have more questions.
Okay. Thank you for keeping me on track with that. So what I'm going to do is run through the rest of this presentation, and it looks like we're probably going to go over, but I do want to be respectful of those folks that need to get off right at 12:30 because, I told you to stay to the end, so we got a special bonus, and I want to make sure I'm able to deliver that to you. So if once we get through the presentation, if you still have questions, I'll be on here. I was planning on being on for about an hour and a half to answer any questions that may come up afterwards. So I'm going to move on if y'all are okay with that. Okay, so the next thing is, the hard part of all this is great. It's good information. It's wonderful. You can now get a mentor to find, maybe fund your business, help you with the capital you need or the bonding or the security clearance or all those things that have been kind of stymieing your progress in business. But, you need to know how to find the perfect mentor. Well, we've got the solution. 75% of you in the poll said that you needed help finding one. So we are going to be doing a webinar on September 8th. At 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be online, and we're going to be helping you to find that perfect mentor. Abraham Young, founder of the Government Contractors Association, has helped tons of different businesses find and vet that perfect mentor. He's even flown out to Texas with one of our members to help them in the vetting process with the newest MPA that they're involved in now. And that's, going to yield some great things for her business. I think that agreement is about 4 or 5 months old. But, he's got a lot of experience doing that kind of thing for our members. So he's going to be talking about how he has helped dozens upon dozens of business owners to find that perfect mentor and what it's meant for their businesses. So on that webinar, you're going to learn how to find and vet a good mentor, how to sell the benefits of the Mentor Protege agreement to them, how to ask for what you want, because, it's got to work both ways, and you need to be willing to, you need to make sure that you're getting benefit from it, and it's not just the mentor as the big boy using you, leading you by the nose so that they can get contracts that they would not have been eligible for otherwise. What to include in your Mentor Protege agreement, and so much more. Now, that's going to be a $299 value, but I told you if you stay to the end, we're going to offer you something special, and we are going to offer that to you guys for free. So how many of you are excited about the ability to get all that information for free? I don't know about you, but I definitely am. I'm excited to give it to you. So the way you get that for free is by becoming a member of the Government Contractors Association. And membership in GCA definitely has its privileges. So not only are you going to get this great bonus of how to find the perfect mentor, that webinar that's only a member only exclusive, you're going to get that totally free, but you're going to get just the regular value of being a member in the association. Our monthly association meetings, that's $120 a year value. A government contract mini boot camp, That's a $299 value. We offer weekly deep dive trainings. We have a curriculum, a proprietary curriculum that we formed that we use over and over and over again with all of our members that help them learn how to consistently win contracts. In some, it's been as short as 4 months, others 6 or 8 months, but within a year, we have a training that teaches you from going from where you are right now in your business to getting a contract with the federal government within a 12-month span. So that's the kind of training that we do weekly. And that's a $7,800 value. I do want to point out that there are people on this call from all over the country, not just here in Georgia where we happen to be. And you may be wondering, well, that's great, but I'm not there to come to your weekly trainings or to come to your monthly meetings. But this training that we offer, and you'll see when you visit the website that Pamela typed in, we offer that a members portal area. So once you're a member, you have access to get those trainings that we do every week because we record those sessions. So you can be in Alaska taking advantage of this, or you can be in Hawaii or DC or wherever you are and still get the value of membership at the association. In addition, you're going to get a nationally bid matching platform. We are in partnership with one of the largest bid matching platforms in the country, and instead of paying the $528 a year for that bid matching service, you'll get it for free by being a member of the association. You also get a government-friendly website. If you do not have a website yet, or you've been struggling with that, or yours just needs a serious upgrade, then we offer that to members of the association totally free, and that's something that non-members would pay $1,500 for. So, just stacking up the benefits: the association meetings, the mini boot camps, the deep dive trainings, the perfect mentor webinar, which I'm so excited about, bid matching, and the government website. So that's a total value of like $10,546. And in addition, I mentioned the curriculum that we offer. For those of you, especially those of you who are out of state, we have that curriculum in a GovFastTrack software. That's literally your blueprint for success in the government marketplace. It is on a project management type tool that takes you step by step by step from everything you need to win a government contract. So whether you're a business that started yesterday or one that's been around for 5 years and you're not where you want to be in this whole government contracting game, that software can allow you to get to where you want to go. And as a member of the association, you get it for $1,000 off. Okay, and then office hours. Every week we have office hours with the subject matter experts at GCA, and that's priceless. So you're in a room for an hour and a half with either Abraham or myself or Richard or any one of our subject matter experts that are talking about whatever your challenges are. Last night we had a lady that has a proposal due later in the week and was having some issues with specific parts of that. So she was able to sit in the room and we go through those details. Those of you that are out of state, we have conference call lines, so you can call in for those same office hours and have the benefit of learning from the situations of the others in the room, and also being able to ask your own questions and get unstuck from wherever you are, whatever you're struggling with. Okay? So all this value is stacked up at $11,500. And if all this did was provide you with a step-by-step guidance and hand-holding to just find that perfect mentor, what would that be worth? Would that be worth it to you? If all it did was give you the detailed training on how to become a successful government contractor, would that be worth it? But what if it provided you with access to subject matter experts on certifications, finding opportunities, writing proposals, funding, all of that? Would that be worth it? Well, for some of our members, the relationships that we've helped them to form have been worth millions of dollars. And, so what's the right mentor going to be worth to you? And this is an example of Tasha, the one I mentioned where, Abe flew to Texas to help her vet her current mentor. So, the investment in the association is not $11,546. That's just the value. And it's not even $5,000. Today, you can get started as a member in the association for only $4.99. What I'd like for you to do is visit govassociation.org/corporate member, and Pam is going to be typing that in the chat box. And when she does that, I think you can actually copy and paste the hyperlink, Pam, so that way it becomes a hyperlink and you can click right on it. But once you become a member, you're going to be automatically registered for that September 8th webinar, How to Find the Perfect Mentor. So you'll immediately get that benefit come September 8th. And then, of course, you'll be hearing from Pam and I, as we are the membership department. So you'll be getting your welcome letter from us, invitation to the boot camp, list of all the member benefits that you get, the upcoming orientation, and of course, we understand that we're in a digital world right now, so we know that people do business literally all over this country and all over the world, especially in the way of government contracting. So everything that we do here in Atlanta, we record and make available for those members that we have that are out of state. So we can still keep in touch, and you can still be, in the loop with what we've got going on. And every once in a while, we have some of our members from out of state that'll come in for special meetings. We've got one of my certification clients from Florida will be coming in for our next month's meeting, and another one because they're going to be on our 8A panel that we have upcoming. So, the investment is only $4.99. You get the bonus webinar, How to Find the Perfect Mentor, and all the value and benefit of membership in the association. So visit govassociation.org/corporate member so that you can save your spot today. And I think Pam has gotten that typed into the webinar thing. Oh, she is so awesome. Look at you. Thank you.
Barb Smith, she asked if by joining, are we guaranteeing that she will that we will find her a mentor?
We don't, in the association, we purposely do not use the word guarantee. I mean, when we talk about winning contracts, we tell people that it's not a matter if you're going to win a contract, it's when, if you follow the steps. But the same here. If you do what we tell you to do and show you to do and walk you through doing in the way of finding a mentor, we will get you a good, a pool of 4 or 5 mentors to choose from. We'll have to do the vetting from there. But but we never guarantee, because one, we're not the SBA, and we aren't the final person that's going to be approving that mentor-protege agreement. But we will get you qualified candidates. We will help you find qualified mentors that can work as a mentor for your firm. There are 2 halves of that too. If you're one of the businesses on the call, maybe you just started your business yesterday. So there's some infrastructure that you have to do to be an attractive protege for a mentor. That's where the benefits of membership come in, because the other part of that is, and that Abe was so wise to know, is that we can teach you everything we need to about finding the mentor, but if you are not an attractive protege for them, then that's not going to be a benefit to them. So all of these benefits for you as the protege are great, but the mentor, yes, they have some selfish interest in this, because they have the opportunity to get contracts that are not usually available to them if they're a large business. But they can only do that if you are prepared to win contracts in the government space, if you know how to do some of that, and they can teach you the rest. If you can get halfway and they can meet you halfway, then it's all good. But if you have no infrastructure and all of that, then there's very little that, even if we bring you to the qualified mentors, but you aren't the qualified protege, it's not going to work, which is another reason why we offered membership, because with all the training, you can get to that point where you will absolutely be the perfect protege for any mentor that's looking for you.
And Conrad asked it, I'm answering it. He asked if the $4.99 a monthly rate, or is it a yearly rate?
Oh, no, that's an annual rate. I'm so sorry. I should have made that clear. I wasn't even thinking, but no, that's a one-time. Well, not one time, it's an annual fee.
Okay.
Okay. And then
how long is this offer good for?
It's good. I believe it's going to be good through the end of the week.
Okay.
I will have to check with that. I know it'll definitely be good for through the end of the day. I mean, the website's not going down or anything. It's not one of those where it's, you know, after today that site won't be available. So at any point in time you go to that particular site, you're always going to find the information about the membership and all that good stuff there. So.
Okay. Questions are rolling in.
Okay.
Someone is asking, Dallas is asking, what's the difference between a corporate membership versus affinity on the website?
Yeah, the corporate membership is primarily for any business that wants to just be a federal contractor. The affinity membership, and we've got very different levels on that, would be for businesses where your product or service would be something that the other members in the association would benefit from. A perfect example is I mentioned the bid matching platform. That bid matching service is an affinity member of the association because his bid matching platform is something that all of our association members need. So those are the types of affinity partners that, you know, where an affinity would make sense. So I know we had about 10% of the folks on the call that were large businesses. If you are, you know, looking for small business partners, if you offer services, we just locked up our bonding and our insurance categories at the platinum level. So we won't be taking any additional affinity partners in those particular categories. But, you know, let's say you are an accountant and you specialize in DCAA compliance and you want this pool of potential government contractors, all of whom are going to need your services, and you want to lock up an affinity membership level where there are no other attorneys offering that service that we're going to refer our members to, then you definitely want to talk to us about that affinity partnership.
Okay. Trying to get through because it's quite a few.
And just so everyone knows, that is the end of the call. You know, you can visit us at corporate member to reserve the spot that you got. So if you need to hop off, just make sure you take down the codes so that you can get the information. And also, you can take down the Mentor Protege website as well so that you can get the PDF version of this PowerPoint and all of that. But I will be staying on the line here for the next, you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long, to answer the other questions that we've got coming in.
Okay. Katie Henderson asked, and this may have been answered, she said, is this good for services like leadership training?
Absolutely. Yes. So, I mean, any one of the organizations of the agencies, they offer leadership training. I'm thinking primarily military. I've seen a lot of contracts for that. You know, if it's not specialized training having to do with the weaponry, but they just want, you know, leadership development skills, HR, those soft skills, a lot of that is done within agencies.
Okay. And then Ramesh asks, is $4.99 membership offer restricted to today only, or can you give us some time? And as you answered, you said definitely probably to the end of the week. Well, not definitely. You said most likely to the end of the week. Okay.
Right.
Olivia said, great webinar, had to run. Scrolling back up. Okay. Oh, no, you answered that one.
Okay.
Yeah, some people asked the same thing over. There was clarification on how many awards can the joint venture entity formed by a mentor and protege be awarded, and what is the time period stipulation as to those awards?
Okay, and what was the first part of the question? How many?
How many awards can the joint venture entity be awarded?
Uh-huh.
And what is the time period
Um,
stipulation as to
the time period for the mentor-protege agreement is a maximum of 3 years. Minimum, ideally, they want the agreement to be for 1 year, but of course, you know, the parties can get out if they need to. As far as the maximum number of contracts to be awarded, this program mimics the 8A mentor-protege program, and I didn't read anything specifically in the rule that talked about limiting the number of awards or the amount of contracts it can win. But generally with 8A, the restriction is not in the number of contracts or opportunities that the joint venture can go after, but the number of joint ventures that any one mentor-protege team can have at any one time. So I will have to do some research on that to make sure I'm answering the question properly. Can you, oh, I think we can, afterwards, we can take a screenshot of all the questions. So,
yeah, we still have
okay, good.
Michael Louise asks, under an MPA JV, is there a minimum % ownership of the JV by the protege and mentor, and is there a minimum percentage self-performance of the work requirement for the protege?
Yeah, again, back to the way this program was created was to mimic the program that's currently in force with the 8A plan. So the minimum ownership of the protege in the mentor-protege joint venture is going to be that 51% because you've got to have at least 51% in order for it to be small. So you can do, more than that if you'd like to, but the protege has to own at least 51%. And ideally, I didn't read anything explicitly in the rule, but ideally you want the protege to be performing 51% or more of the work as well.
Okay.
And there's some caveats on that, but that's going to get us in the weeds, I think.
Okay. Amanda asks, when can we start contracting with the MP agreements?
Well, the way the program works, applications won't open up online until October 1st, and then it's got to go through that Office of Business Development that the SBA has established that's going to approve it. So you won't be able to win any contracts until you have an approved MPA by the SBA. So I imagine that's... They're saying, according to the stuff in the final rule, that they're hoping that they should be able to evaluate applications within 30 days of submitting. But, I mean, I've dealt with SBA enough with 8A applications to know likely that's going to be 90 to 120 days. So I'd say well into first quarter or second quarter of the federal fiscal year, first quarter of the calendar year 2017.
Okay, it looks like someone asked, is it possible for us to start the process now before the 1st? Before October 1st?
They give no stipulation on that. The SBA, they explicitly said in one of the documents, I'm going to try to pull it up so I can read it, that any applications any applications received prior to October 1st or received in any other format than online will be rejected, will not be considered. Yeah.
How many, should a new 8A business be in this program? That's Marty Sims.
Miss Marty Sims, I would recommend that your new 8A business definitely come to our webinar because you're going to need to learn how to find a mentor, but you'd probably want to enter a mentor-protege agreement under the 8A, not under this one. And then you'd consider this at the end, towards the end of your 9-year period when your 8A is expiring, and then you've got this program to segue into.
Okay, Harriet Houston asks, are there cost or fees associated with the programs?
With the mentor protege programs?
I'm assuming that's the one.
I mean, the only costs or fees would be, if you have to get certified and you're paying a third-party certifier or, you know, an organization like ours to do it for you. But yeah, no, there's not going to be, if your mentor is asking, okay, pay me a fee and then I'll be your mentor, then that's, I can tell you as a prelude to the webinar, that's the first reason to run. So,
yeah. So Jamil asked, can a DBE certification work with the Mentor Protege program?
Not if you're talking about a DBE through like a Department of Transportation disadvantaged business enterprise, like through a GDOT or a Florida Department of Transportation. No, generally, well, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, because this is available. This is 4 programs in one, so it's the SDVOSB, it's the woman-owned, it's the hub zone, and it's the all small business. So as long as you still qualify as small, yes, it would qualify. You probably would not need to submit that certification, though. You would just self-certify as small, and then, you know, if somebody wanted to dispute that, they'd have to go through a usual dispute process. So I correct my answer. Yes, it would.
Okay. What is, Shwana asks, what is the cost for becoming a protege?
There's not going to be a cost to the protege to enter into a mentor-protege agreement. I mean, in the traditional sense, but there could be some other costs. I mean, and I say that in the way of, if you're talking to a mentor and you're talking about the mentor investing in your company and you giving up an equity share, then in that regard, there's a cost because you no longer have 100% of your company, but there's not going to be, you know, like an out-of-pocket expense that you have to pay to the mentor to do this. A mentor in the government space that understands government, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to have that follow-up webinar, because it's going to be on you to teach them sometimes what the benefits are. But there's not going to be any, there shouldn't be any monetary exchange of money from you to them or from you to the SBA at all for participating in this.
Okay. On one of the slides, you mentioned the MP program is government-wide, but only for specific categories. Can you explain what are specific categories? That's Thomas.
Oh, I probably misspoke on that. I wasn't necessarily saying specific categories, but I was saying that under that the mentor protege benefits are under specific guidelines. Okay, and I'm trying to get back to the slide so I can kind of tell you what I meant. So I meant, this is what I was talking about, the specific benefits that the mentor protege agreement can offer both the mentor and the protege. I'm hoping that clarified that somewhat. It is a government-wide program that is available for all agencies now except the DoD, and the benefits to the woman business, the service-disabled vet business, the hub zone business, or the small business is that they can get this type of assistance within the context of the program. Management, technical assistance, financial assistance, contracting, trade education, business development, and general or administrative assistance. So those are the 6 specific examples I was talking about. So sorry if that was confusing.
Okay. Somehow when my panel went back in, trying to stand it back out. Here we go.
And I'm going to run back to the last slide again. Okay.
Okay.
Where did the question box go? I accidentally closed my question box. Did you do the same thing?
I think I did that too, and I see more are coming. I got it out.
Okay.
Gino Doyle asks, is there an application fee?
No set application fee that you're going to have to pay to SBA.
Okay. And then Conrad asks, I'm a federal contracting company that just started with 3 employees. I have my infrastructure set up, but will still need some guidance. Would this make my company ready for an MP, or do I need to get more contracts?
No, I mean, I think, yeah, if you make the investment into membership, Conrad, it's definitely going to help your business because it's going to help you and the 3 people you've got kind of teach you um, what you need to do with the infrastructure that you've got in place, how to find the proper mentor, and get ready to go. But yeah, this can definitely help you.
Okay. Alice, she just left. Asked us to send her email. Thomas asked, if you have a JV between a large and small company, is there a limit on the awards made to the JV as a small company?
That's kind of a different way of asking an earlier question, and I'm going to do some clarifying, Thomas, but as far as I understand, there is not going to be any limit on the awards that are made to the JV. The reason I say that, now, of course, like any situation, you know, when you're talking about a small business concern, the benefit to a small business concern is only as long as they're small. Once they grow too big to be small, then they're, you know, that benefit goes away. So there's no limit on the awards, but if you start getting a number of awards and then you no longer are eligible as a small business, then, you know, the MP benefit and the program will go away for you.
Okay. A lot of people are saying thank you for the information and the support, the MP description and definition. So that's Olga. What would HR staffing services would be suitable for Infinity Partnership? I guess we can answer that.
Yeah, we can answer that one offline, but yeah.
Diane Osborne, yes, we can assist with capability statements. Yes, ma'am. Answer that question. Gina, is there a fee to merge your information on SAMS?
No, if you become a member of the association, that's something that we can probably easily cover in a what do you call it? An office hour session, because you know that's something that we can walk you through easily. So there should be no fee for that unless you're paying a separate agency to do it for you.
Okay, Andrea has a question. I'm gonna let you answer that offline. Andrea Burnett.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't see any questions. Oh, and Thomas said thank you for answering that about the JV. If you have about the JV being between a large and a small company.
Okay. Awesome.
No new questions have come. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody.
You know, well, I see John just asked a question as far as does 3 mean like all of Lockheed Martin can only have 3? I was reading the same thing into that, John, and that's a great question. That's what it sounds like, but a company like Lockheed, I surely they need more than that. But yeah, I read through the federal rule and I had the same scratch my head moment. So I don't know the answer. And it sounds like you had the same issue.
All right, just want to clarify this yearly rate will give me access to all training services that GTA has, correct?
So yeah, all the weekly trainings that we offer, you'll have access to. Now, Conrad, just so that you know, we do offer things like, you know, separate weekend boot camps or, you know, a separate individualized coaching program or, you know, first contract training program. Those are offered at a separate fee just as a standalone program, but all of the weekly trainings and everything that we outlined, yes, you get those for free.
But as a member, they get those boot camps and extra things at a discount.
Absolutely, yes. But the boot camp, all the other stuff I talked about, you get a considerable discount to that if you choose to come as a member. But, you know, with what we offer you for free, we've got several examples of members that have been able to use that information and win contracts.
Okay, you see the question from Abdul?
I do. Okay, please explain the affiliation rule you mentioned earlier. Okay. I'm going to answer the second part first. Abu asked, he put in his mentor protege application on June 30th, and will they need to reapply? According to this rule, okay, so the announcement that was made about the small business program, that final rule announcement was made on July 25th. So because you put in your application prior to July 25th, where they clarified what the process is, I would say yes, because, you know, what you don't want to have happen is on October 1st, you're like, oh, I'm done. I put it in early, and then they don't even know it's in there because it didn't come through their system. Okay, so the first part of that, explain the affiliation rule I mentioned. Okay, so usually if you receive assistance or office space or financial, you know, or another company owns a percentage of your company, the SBA will often determine that you are now affiliated with that company. And affiliation can be a bad word because, Abu, you may be a small business, but if the company that you have received help or office space or manufacturing assistance or whatever from is not a small company, the SBA can say that because you're affiliated with them, you are now large and no longer small. That means no longer eligible for all the benefits that being small affords you. So with a mentor-protege agreement, the SBA will not even consider your mentor firm as an affiliate of yours. So even though your mentor may be Lockheed Martin, the largest government contractor in the world, you won't be considered to be a large company simply by your mentor-protege agreement that you may have with them. I hope that answers your question. And then the SBA, I imagine the application link should be available on the SBA website by October 1st, because unless anything changes with the way the program is going to run, Leticia. Yes, and Janine, you asked to clarify if we're allowed to use our mentor's experience to assist with getting contracts. Absolutely. That's one of the benefits of this program. Oh, Marty, thank you. I'm glad it was helpful. Thanks, Conrad. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Anna, you're in Atlanta. Awesome. Well, hopefully we will see you.
Awesome. Letitia, did you answer that one? Oh, you answered that one about the SBA website. Okay. Great.
Okay, and somebody asked, do I need to have a PM agreement with the SBA in order to form a joint venture under these rules? Yes. If you are, and I think you meant an MP agreement. So if you want to form a joint venture and not be subject to the possible affiliation with the large firm, then yes, you need to have the mentor-protege agreement in place.
So welcome aboard, Dallas.
Dallas, awesome! Dallas joined. That's so great.
Welcome aboard.
And Janine, you're in Atlanta too. Hopefully we'll see you at one of our events. We're here every week.
Thank you, Diane. Awesome. Thomas.
Okay. Right. Yeah, we still have lots of people hanging on the call. Maybe those were ones that were multitasking and went away, so they're not in front of the computers. But, you know, I don't know how much longer, if you still have time to stick around. Oh, it's at 1 o'clock, so yeah. So I think we are going to shut it down, guys. Hope you got the websites. That website on the bottom is just giving you the information. That's where you're going to see the PDF version of this PowerPoint housed. So you can visit there, and then also just click on corporate membership or membership to get information about getting signed up as a member. And, you know, we look forward to seeing you guys.
Okay, and check the chat. There's a note from Shelby Townsend that I want you to see in the chat.
Okay, gotcha. And are we going to be redoing the webinar? We are, I believe, and I don't know exactly when, though. We're going to be finishing up the recording as soon as we get off of the call, and then we'll be definitely making it available. Thank you, Olga.
Thanks.
Discount till the end of the week? Yes, Marty. So this was to start at 11:30. Oh, I'm sorry, Brenda. It did start at 11:30 Eastern. So if I'm in Central and it's okay. So alrighty, and you said check the chat. Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and appreciate your time. And those of you who joined, welcome to the family. You'll be seeing emails from Pam, you know, within the next day or so, welcoming you aboard. And look forward to, you know, everyone having much success in the federal marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you.